Hi everybody, welcome to the channel. Ron Rose PI, stories from the case files. Today I thought this came to my mind, I thought I would tell a story about a pro per case I did. For those of you who don't know, pro per is when they petition the court to represent themselves and be their own attorney, which is never a really good idea. So this gentleman petitioned the court and the court contacted me. Mr. Rose needed to come and do this because in California, when you petition the court and you're assigned pro per or pro se status, in California they issue you investigator if you want one. So the court assigned me to be his investigator, and he really didn't have much of a case. He actually wanted me to be his gopher and give him or get him as many privileges as possible, which that's just wasn't my deal. I mean, I had no ability to do any of that. But when these guys represent themselves, you know, everybody watches or reads about Charlie Manson. When Charles Manson was in the penitentiary, supposedly he had a double cell with a library, and he had, you know, sofas and all the accoutrements, you know, and it was all bogus. He didn't have any of that stuff, but that's what he portrayed himself like, and that was the big rumor that Manson, because he was representing himself, he had all these you know, privileges, and it just doesn't work that way. It just not here anyway. No pro per case I ever was assigned to work that way. It just doesn't work that way. So anyway, his case was assault against several deputies. And I asked him about it. I asked him what happened because it wasn't on a video, but it was on audio. You could hear the audio tape. And apparently what happened was he was approached by a couple of deputies. And, you know, when he wasn't in prison, he was out of prison. And when he wasn't out of prison, he was in prison. I mean, he's just one of those guys. And he said, you know, I just didn't feel like going to jail that day. I wasn't fighting anybody. And it was really funny the way he explained it to me. He said, you know, I'm really hard to beat up and my body's wired differently. He came from a really small town in the Northeast somewhere, where I don't know, something about, he was explaining to me something about chemicals in the water or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but his bone structure, the guy was built like, his bone structure was like a Viking or something. It was really weird because he goes, like he said, he goes, feel your collarbone. And, you know, everybody's collarbone is like, you know, I don't know, quarter inch, half inch or something. That guy's collarbone was an inch wide, his collarbone. And he said, I never have any problems in prison because I'm really hard to beat up. I really don't know how to fight. You know, I just wait till they get tired. They try to beat me up, and I'm really hard to beat up. I just wait till they get tired, and then I just punch them a couple of times, and they finally get the message and leave me alone. So, okay, whatever you say, man, whatever you say. So anyway, this day he was approached by a couple of deputies, and I guess he had a warrant failure to, I can't remember what, I think it was failure to notify his probation or parole officer or what, something. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like, you know, he'd robbed a bank or something. His crimes were drug crimes. He liked to do drugs, and so I guess he had a dirty test, or he didn't report, or I don't remember exactly what it was because it's been a long time ago. So these deputies approach him, and he's just like, you know, I just don't feel like going to jail today, so just leave me alone. And he just kind of walked away from them. So they grabbed a couple more deputies. So now they got 4 deputies, and they are not allowing him to walk away. And he's really not in the mood. So he just kind of, you know, worms his way through them. So a couple of them grab a hold of him. And I said, well, what did you do? And he said, well, I just locked down. So he locked down, and, you know, he's kind of a big guy. I mean, you know, it probably would have taken 3 or 4 to get him on the ground. He was a big guy, but he said, I wasn't fighting. I wasn't fighting anybody. And then they used the tasers on him. And I don't know if anybody's ever heard a taser, but they click. They're like, brr, brr, brr. So you can hear the deputies, get on the ground. And he's like, he's not making any noise. And he said he just locked down. And then he's like trying to shake him off, but he's locked. His arms are locked. And you can hear the tasers, brr, brr, brr. And I guess I guess it would have aggravated me too a little, but he starts laughing. He's laughing at them, and you can hear him on and they played this audio recording in court. And in the audio recording, he says, you guys need to call the manufacturer because those taser guns aren't working. And I asked him, were you tased? I mean, were you wearing heavy clothes? He goes, no, I was in a t-shirt and they stuck me. I mean, when they pulled the barbs out, I was bleeding, but that stuff doesn't work on me. I told you, I'm wired. My body's wired different. Tasers don't work on me. And pepper spray doesn't work on me. It's just, he said, none of that stuff works on me. I'm wired differently. So it was funny listening to. And I kind of felt, I understood the deputies because I've been on that side. I've been, anybody out there who's been a police officer and you've ever had to deal with somebody on PCP, you know what? I have to do a video on that one. That was wild. That was like the e-ticket ride at Disneyland when you used to have to use the tickets. So yeah, I'm gonna do a video on that. So anyway, he was convicted. He was convicted of assault on a peace officer because I guess when he was trying to shake him off, he elbowed one of them. I guess he elbowed one of them, or one of them slipped and fell. And I don't remember exactly all the details, but he went down. I think he ended up getting 2 or 3 years for battery on a peace officer and resisting arrest and the whole bit. But I thought about that. I thought I would. That guy was a character. He believed in the crystals and all the magic and potions and all that. But yeah, tasers didn't work, and his freaking collarbone was an inch thick. His whole skeletal structure must have been massive because he was a big man, and I imagine he was hard to get a hold of. But anyway, quick story. If you like my stories, I tell stories like this all the time. Some are happy, some are sad. But like and subscribe. Or if you don't, hey, thanks for giving me a shot. At least you checked it out. And I appreciate the support. So wherever you're at in the world, hopefully you and your family are well and healthy. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.